In this video, we're going to look at solving some of the questions related to the sketch that we just did. And I recreated it over here with the slots, the eliminations that we were able to make, the master rules in the blue, and all of our players. So let's go ahead and just try this for a moment. Now, first thing is, when we have the first question says, if. That is indicating to us, let's not tamper with our master sketch, but we want to replay out the scenario with that condition added. So let's see, wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It says if we put G on second, all right, so G has to go right here. Which of the following tapes must be in the third space? We're looking for what has to go right here. Well, let's think about what we know from our rules. If we put G down, we know that P, the next thing, has to be 2 spaces exactly away from it, right? So we don't have to put P over here. Okay, and so then let's think about this. The other thing that I would want you should do is then look at your other rule. The other rule is fairly restrictive in the sense that we know that LO have to be together. So that what that tells us is that we're going to have to put LO either right here. That's possibility number 1. Let's switch up colors. Or I'd have to put it right here. Just pause for a moment and just see if that makes sense to you, right? I have to have a group of 2, and there's only 2 places where they can fit in if I put G right here. So it's either here in the light blue or over here in the red. Well, but think about this too. I can't put it in the red because I have to have an N somewhere after LO. This would be a violation. So it's impossible to put LO right here, which means I am forced to put LO in this block right here. Just take a moment and think about that. Remember, you have groups that you have these little spaces of 2, and I need to have a block of minimum, of 3. I have to put these 2 things together, so there's only 2 spaces, two sets where I can put the little LO block, either here or over here. The red block creates contradiction because I don't have space to put an N after it. So I'm forced to put LO over here, which means, since we were interested in space 3, we have to put L in space 3. Okay? I'm going to pause the video, kind of clean the screen up, and we'll go to question number 2. Try to make this as efficient as possible. Okay, we're back. I reset up the little thing here. Let's look at question number 2. The news tape can be played in any one of the following time slots, except which one? All right, where can we not place our news tape? Well, based on our master sketch, we identified 2 spaces where we definitely can't put the news. We cannot put it in space 1 or in space 2, because that would violate our master rule right here. And, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That was almost too easy. Boom. We certainly, that was easy, right? We just have it right there. We can't place it in 2, so there's our answer. I guess that wasn't so bad. Wish they all could be that easy on the test, right? All right, let's try number 3. All right, oh boy. Okay, so if H and S are to be scheduled as far from each other as possible, that's a little vague, then the first, second, and third slots could be filled by which group? Well, okay, let's just pause here for a second. I'm going to flag in purple H and S in our list here, because these are the only 2 players that we can kind of call free floaters, right? There are no rules that indicate where they are supposed to be in relation to anything else, right? LO and N, they all have rules, and then so does G and P. So H and S, they pretty much are just, free agents. They can go pretty much wherever. So here's what I would, suggest. This is a little bit weirdly worded, but if they say we're supposed to be as far apart from each other as possible, well, let's play that scenario. As far apart as possible would be having an H or an S, since they didn't specify which needed to be, first, or an H or an S there, right? That's as far apart as we can get. So let's see what would happen here. Which of the following could be filled, respectively, by these different groups here? Okay, well, let's think about this. If I have that, what rules would we have to do? We know I can't put N in the second slot. I mean, I've got kind of freedom. I know I have to have a block of 4 to put my G and P. So is it possible, where things get a little bit irritating. This is kind of one of those questions where I would suggest you'd skip it and kind of move on. But let's just try this for a moment. Let's think about this. We've got let's try our options where this is what I would suggest you do first. Is that let's try playing out a situation where we have an H or an S in the first block, right? Because that's a possibility. That would be as far apart as they could go. So I'm going to ignore A for a moment. Let's try B, because there's an H or an S in the first space, C, or D. Not necessarily saying that A or E are wrong, but we can just, try this first. Because remember, what we're looking for is what could work, what could be filled. If we assume, this is as far as they can be apart, do we break any rules by doing this? And for lack of really anything better, I'm just going to go ahead and try to go with, let's just run down through B and see if we plug this in, do we create a contradiction? So let me just try that right here. So answer B, let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see, if we put S there, let's put H over here, and then let's see, G. Well, if we put G right here, what rule do we have for G? If we have G, we have to have 2 spaces away, has got to be P, right? Okay, so that's fine. And then that means we have to do L-O-N. Can we do that? Can we put L on 3 and then O and then N? S-G. Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. I just messed up right here. I completely, well, no, I didn't completely mess up, but no, hold on. Sorry. This is stream of consciousness, guys. This is how we kind of do this, right? Let me back up just for a second. Here's where I kind of screwed up. We have S, G, and then the third slot is supposed to be the news. All right, according to B. All right, so the first 3 slots, S, then G, then N. Well, this is going to be a problem, because if we have N in the third slot, we have to have O and L behind it, which we cannot do because we filled that up with S and G. So that is clearly a contradiction. That is impossible. We can't do that. So here, let me clear that out. Oops. Let's okay. All right, sorry, let's just be a little scatterbrained. So B is out. We can't do B. Wrong. All right, what about C? Can we do H, G, and L? Well, if we do H, let's just try this for a minute. So that's H, and say S is all the way over there. Can we put G here and then L here? Does that create a contradiction? Well, let's see. If I've got G, I need to do 2 spaces, so P has to go here. And then the rule is L-O needs to go here. And then, can we put an N over here? Doesn't look like we've created a contradiction. That seems that, yeah, there's no contradiction there, so it looks like we're done. Yeah, boom, there it is. We didn't break any of our rules. Let's just kind of review that for a second. So C looks like is our correct answer. Because we can do we can do H and then G, which means this rule 2 kicks in, right? We got to put P 2 spaces away. But then we can put L and O over there and an N right between. Yeah, we're good. We are good. I'm going to leave that for there. That would be our answer choice. The takeaway for this would just be that, kind of think about it like this. If you're doing something like this, first off, I would flag this as a tricky question, so I would go and do the rest of them in the game and come back to this. But then I would just play out, if they give you something like this where it says H and S are to be as far away from each other as possible, I would actually write that out. What would be the furthest way that they could be? And try that scenario. And that looked like we had to put H or S on slot 1 and the other counterpart on slot 7, which meant that what I would start with, put this in green, if I was playing this out, I would just start with testing out the scenarios that involved either an H or an S in the first slot. So that was, we saw was B, C, and D. Try those. If, God forbid, none of those worked, then we'd have to move on to, trying A or E. But, the suspicion should be that we probably would find one of those to work. And what we just kind of had to do was play out the scenario. Like with B, if we put SG and then L, SG and then N, we created ultimately a contradiction. We were going to break the rule with the LO and the N's. So, anyway. All right, hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to pause there, and we will do the remaining questions in the next video.